The fluorescent lights hummed above Fort Bragg's premier training facility like dying wasps trapped in glass. Captain Elena Thornton stood in the observation deck doorway, clipboard pressed against her chest, watching the spectacle below with growing disgust that burned cold in her gut. 6 weeks. 6 weeks she'd been documenting complaints against Marcus Dalton. 18 formal reports, all buried, all disappeared into the Pentagon's black hole of protected names and powerful fathers. The kind of protection that came with stars on shoulders and friends in high places. Marcus Dalton stood center mat chest puffed beneath a compression shirt 2 sizes too small. His Ranger tab tattoo caught the light every time he flexed, which was constantly. 2 million YouTube subscribers. Verified Instagram, the military's golden boy of combat training. He'd never seen actual combat. Not once. Elena had seen enough for both of them. The scars beneath her sleeves told stories that would give Marcus nightmares for weeks. But she wasn't here to compare wounds. She was here to build a case. Document evidence. Do it by the book. Even when the book was written by men who protected their own. Private Foster, Marcus's voice cracked like a whip, front and center. A young woman stepped forward, 20 years old, maybe younger, barely 5 feet tall. Her hands trembled as she took position on the mat. Megan Foster. Elena had read her file. Top of her class at basic. Sharp mind, quick reflexes, everything a soldier should be. Show me the defensive sequence I just demonstrated. Marcus circled her like a predator. Private Foster attempted the move. Her form was imperfect but earnest. She was trying. That should have been enough for any decent instructor. But Marcus Dalton wasn't decent. He was a bully with a certificate and a camera phone. He laughed. The sound echoed off concrete walls. That's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Elena's pen moved across the clipboard. Time-stamped. Witnessed. Useless. Marcus kept circling. You call that military bearing? My grandmother moves faster and she's been dead for 10 years. 63 soldiers shifted uncomfortably. Someone coughed. No one spoke up. They never did. Fear was more powerful than any rank structure. Maybe women shouldn't be in combat roles at all. Marcus said it loud enough for everyone to hear, loud enough for the phones that were always recording. Too emotional, too weak. You'd get your whole squad killed with movements like that. Private Foster's face burned red. Her eyes glistened, but she refused to cry. Not here. Not in front of 60 witnesses who would remember her weakness forever. Elena's pen nearly snapped in her grip. Complaint 19, added to the pile that would go nowhere. Marcus shoved Private Foster aside. Not hard enough to be called assault, just hard enough to make a point. Sit down before you embarrass yourself further. The young woman retreated to the wall, head bowed, shoulders hunched. Another soldier whispered something supportive. Small comfort in a room full of witnesses who wouldn't speak up. Elena made her note. Time-stamped, detailed, utterly useless in the face of Colonel Benjamin Dalton's influence. That's when the door opened. Harold Brennan entered, pushing a maintenance cart that squeaked on wheels that hadn't been oiled in months. 74 years old, though he looked older. White hair cropped military short, despite 12 years away from active duty. Weathered hands that trembled slightly. Blue coveralls faded from 1,000 washes. The kind of invisible that came from being dismissed so long, you forgot what it felt like to be seen. What nobody in that room knew was that Harold Brennan had once been one of the most decorated Green Berets in Gulf War history. Silver Star, Purple Heart. The kind of soldier they wrote citations about, but never named in public documents. Excuse me. Hal's voice was gravel-worn smooth by 7 decades. Scheduled maintenance, I can come back. Marcus turned slowly. His eyes swept over Hal with contempt, usually reserved for insects. Can't you see we're in the middle of training, old man? Hal backed toward the door. Yes, sir. My apologies, I'll return later. You deaf or just stupid? The room went silent. Elena's clipboard lowered. Her body tensed with recognition. She'd felt this kind of moment before, in the seconds before ambushes, in the heartbeat before firefights. Sir, I'm just doing my job. Hal's voice remained calm, but Elena caught something in his eyes, a flicker. The recognition of a threat. Old instincts that never died. Marcus crossed the mat in 4 strides. He didn't touch Hal yet, but he used every inch of his 6'2" frame to intimidate. This is my facility, my class. Your job doesn't matter here. You understand me? Yes, sir. Then get out. Hal turned, made it 2 steps. Marcus's hand shot out and grabbed his shoulder. Spun him around, shoved. Not hard enough to be called assault in a court-martial. Just hard enough to make a point. Hal stumbled. His hip caught the maintenance cart. His balance compromised by age and old injuries that never healed. Right failed him. He went down in slow motion, hands reaching for something to grab, finding nothing but air. He hit the mat with a sound that echoed through the facility. The cart tipped. Cleaning supplies scattered. A bottle of disinfectant rolled across the floor and stopped at Marcus's feet. 63 soldiers watched. 63 phones came out. Recording, sharing. The old man's humiliation about to go viral. Clumsy old bastard. Marcus looked at his students, smiled. This is what happens when you don't maintain readiness. You become useless, weak, a burden on everyone around you. Hal lay on the mat, his hands pressed flat against the rubber surface. Both were shaking now, not from the fall, from something deeper. Something that had nothing to do with the present moment and everything to do with nights that still woke him up screaming. Decades later, Elena recognized it instantly. PTSD breathing. The old man wasn't just embarrassed. He'd been triggered. Thrown back to a desert 25 years ago, where falling meant dying. Look at him. Marcus's voice dripped with amusement. Content gold for his subscribers. Can't even stand up. This is why we need real warriors, not relics collecting government paychecks. He pulled out his phone, started recording. This, boys and girls, is what happens when you let yourself go. When you stop being a soldier and become a civilian. Pay attention. 63 phones joined his, recording, sharing. The old man's humiliation being broadcast to millions who would laugh and comment and share without knowing, without caring. Something snapped inside Elena Thornton. She was moving before the decision fully formed. Down the stairs, through the door, boots silent on the mat. Enough. Not loud, but it carried. Every head turned. Marcus's recording stopped. His eyes narrowed as they tracked to the woman approaching. Small, contractor badge. Dark hair pulled back military tight. A scar bisecting her left eyebrow. Nobody important in his world. Who the hell are you? Elena walked past him without acknowledgement. Knelt beside Hal. Her hands were gentle but efficient, checking his pulse, his pupils, assessing with the practiced ease of someone who'd done field medicine under fire. Sir, are you hurt? Hal looked up. His gray eyes met hers. Something passed between them in that moment. The recognition when one operator sees another. He didn't know her story yet, but he knew her type, the real thing. I'm fine, miss, just clumsy. You're not clumsy and you're not fine. She helped him sit up, slow, careful. Take your time. I said, who are you? Marcus stepped closer. His shadow fell over them. Elena finished helping Hal to a sitting position. Then she stood, turned, looked at Marcus Dalton with an expression that made several soldiers step back unconsciously. I'm the person telling you to apologize. Marcus blinked, then laughed. It was the kind of laugh that expected others to join in. A few soldiers did, nervous, uncertain, before falling silent under Elena's stare. Apologize to him. Marcus gestured at Hal like he was pointing at garbage. Lady, do you have any idea who I am? Marcus Dalton, dishonorably discharged Ranger candidate who never completed the program. 3rd-degree black belt from a strip mall dojo in Tampa. Elena's voice was flat, reciting facts. Currently under investigation for 18 abuse complaints that your father keeps burying. 2 million YouTube subscribers who think you're a warrior. 0 actual combat deployments. 0 confirmed kills. 0 real-world experience outside of choreographed demonstrations. The room went completely silent. Marcus's face shifted through several colors. Red, purple, something close to gray. Who do you think you're talking to? A bully with a certificate. Elena stepped forward. Still just a bully. I'm a combat instructor. You're a performer. Another step. Big difference. Anyone can look dangerous when their opponent is reading from the same script. Marcus moved closer. Close enough that everyone could see the size difference. He'd used this move 1,000 times. It always worked. Height, weight, reach. It didn't work on Elena Thornton. You've got guts. I'll give you that. His voice dropped to something he probably thought sounded threatening. But guts won't help you when I decide to demonstrate real combat techniques on someone who doesn't know how to fall properly. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Then keep it. Elena didn't blink. Right here. Right now, on this mat, murmurs rippled through the soldiers. Someone said, holy shit, just loud enough to be heard. Phones that had lowered rose again. This was content. This was going viral. Marcus's smile spread slowly. You want to fight me, little thing like you? I want you to apologize to this man. Elena gestured to Hal, who was now standing with help from Private Foster. But since your ego won't allow basic human decency, I'll make it simple. She stepped onto the mat. Center, visible, committed. You last 60 seconds against me, I apologize to you in front of everyone. On video. She gestured to all the phones still recording. But when you tap out, and you will tap out, you apologize to him, and then you resign. Tonight. No Pentagon daddy, no buried complaints, no more students for you to abuse. When I tap out, Marcus laughed again. But it was hollow now. Lady, I've put down men twice your size. Then this should be easy. Elena removed her contractor badge. Set it aside. Unless you're scared. The word hit like a slap. Marcus's jaw tightened. You know what, fine. He cracked his neck, rolled his shoulders. I'm going to enjoy this. What's your name? I want to know whose career I'm about to end. Elena Thornton. A soldier near the wall inhaled sharply, whispered something to the person next to him. The whisper spread like fire. Thornton, that name meant something. Why do I know that name? You don't. Elena stretched her arms, and after tonight you won't forget it either. Thornton, another soldier spoke up. Command Sergeant Major James Thornton, the phantom of Operation Iraqi Freedom. She has to be. Quiet. Elena's voice cut through the speculation. This isn't about my family. This is about him. She pointed at Hal. About every soldier in this room who's been afraid to report abuse. About every private humiliated for not being perfect on their first try. She looked at Marcus. About bullies who think rank and connections make them untouchable. Marcus's composure was cracking, but his pride wouldn't let him back down. 63 phones recording. 2 million subscribers watching. 60 seconds. He stepped onto the mat. You won't last 10. Elena settled into her stance, relaxed, patient, her weight centered, hands loose at her sides. No wasted movement, just readiness that came from repetition so deep it became instinct. Clock starts when you move. Marcus moved. He came fast. Textbook combination. Jab. Cross. Spinning back kick. All flash, all performance. Elena slipped the jab. Parried the cross. Stepped inside the kick's arc where it had no power. Didn't counter. Just watched. Reading him. Learning him. Marcus reset. Came again. Faster this time. More aggressive. Combination after combination. Each one technically perfect in the way that choreography was perfect. Each one missing its target by inches. Because Elena moved like water. Her grandfather's voice echoed in her head. First rule, mija, everyone has a tell. Find it. She found it. Marcus favored his right side. Every combination ended with his weight shifting right. Old injury maybe, bad habit definitely. Second rule, make them think they're winning. Marcus was breathing hard now. 30 seconds in, she hadn't thrown a single strike. But he was getting frustrated. Sloppy. Stand still and fight. I'm not running. Elena's breath was even. I'm waiting. For what? For you to realize you're not as good as you think you are. He charged. Abandoned technique entirely. Haymaker that would have dropped an elephant if it landed. Elena leaned back. The fist passed close enough to feel the wind. Close enough that Marcus's momentum carried him forward, off balance, vulnerable. Third rule. When they lose control, end it, Elena struck. Palm heel to his solar plexus. Not full force. Just enough to fold him. As he doubled over gasping, she grabbed his wrist, rotated, used his own weight against him. Classic Aikido. Simple, elegant, devastating. Marcus flew through the air, hit the mat hard. Before he could recover, Elena was on him. Knee on his spine, arm twisted behind him at an angle that sent lightning bolts of agony through his shoulder. 43 seconds. Her voice was steady. You lasted 43 seconds against a woman half your size who hasn't even started trying yet. Get off me, Marcus thrashed. Made it worse. Apologize. Screw you. Elena adjusted her grip. Marcus screamed. I can dislocate your shoulder right now. Her voice remained clinical. You'll spend 6 months in physical therapy. Your YouTube career ends tonight. She leaned close to his ear. Or you can apologize to the man you assaulted. Resign your position. And walk out of here with your arms still attached. Choose. My father will have you arrested. Your father can't save you. The grip tightened. Marcus whimpered. The Inspector General already has copies of every complaint, every buried report, every video of you abusing soldiers. Her voice hardened. You're not protected anymore, Marcus. You're exposed. And these 63 phones just recorded you losing to a woman you outweigh by 70 pounds. Marcus's thrashing slowed, reality setting in. What's it going to be? Silence stretched. Every soldier held their breath. Fine. Marcus's voice was broken. Fine, I'm sorry. Not to me. Lena released just enough pressure for him to turn his head. She pointed at Hal. To him. Marcus looked at Hal. Something ugly passed across his face. But survival instinct overrode everything. I'm sorry. The words came out like poison. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. Elena held the position for 2 more seconds. Then she released him. Stood. Stepped back. Marcus scrambled away, clutching his shoulder. Resignation letter on the commander's desk by 0800. Elena brushed off her hands. If it's not there, every video in this room goes to the Inspector General, CNN, and the Senate Armed Services Committee. She walked to Hal. Are you okay, sir? Hal nodded slowly. His hands had stopped shaking. For the first time in years, they were still. Who are you? Someone who should have stepped in sooner. She gathered the scattered cleaning supplies, placed them back on the cart. Ma'am, Private Foster stepped forward. Her voice was stronger now. That was overdue. Elena turned to the young woman. You did good helping him when no one else would. Remember that feeling. The next time someone needs you to stand up. Foster nodded, her eyes bright with hope. Elena walked toward the exit. Behind her, the facility remained silent. 63 soldiers frozen, processing what they'd witnessed. At the door, she paused, turned back. Dalton? Elena's voice carried across the room. Get that shoulder checked. I might have left a bruise. She walked out. The silence held for 10 full seconds. Then Private Foster started clapping. Slow at first, then faster. Another soldier joined, then another. Within moments, the room erupted, the sound of pressure releasing, of fear breaking. Marcus Dalton lay in the center of it all, listening to soldiers applaud his destruction, his phone still recorded, 2 million subscribers about to watch, his career ending in real time. Elena sat in her truck 20 minutes later, hands on the wheel, breathing slowly. Her phone was already exploding. The video had hit social media within seconds, comments flooding in, shares multiplying, her face, her name, her family connection. She didn't want fame, didn't want attention. She wanted justice, but justice required shadows, not spotlights. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. She answered without thinking. Captain Thornton, we need to talk. But who is this? Someone who knew your grandfather. A pause. Someone who can help you finish what he started. The line went dead. Elena stared at her phone, then at the facility in her rearview mirror. Somewhere out there, powerful people were making calls. General Benjamin Dalton would be mobilizing every connection. And somewhere in those shadows, other things were watching. Things that had been hunting the Thornton family for decades. The video was everywhere now. Her face, her name, the Phantom's granddaughter. Some ghosts weren't just stories. Some ghosts were still hunting. And now they knew exactly where to find her. Her apartment was dark when she got home. 2 rooms, sparse furnishing, no photographs on the walls except one. Her grandfather in his dress uniform, taken the day he earned his 3rd Silver Star. Command Sergeant Major James Thornton, the Phantom, dead 3 years now from cancer that had eaten him alive over 6 months. Except it wasn't cancer. Elena poured herself bourbon, didn't drink it, just held the glass. Her phone had been ringing nonstop. She turned it off after the 17th call. A knock at the door, 3 sharp raps. She checked her watch. 0130 hours. Elena grabbed her service pistol, approached the door, checked the peephole. Harold Brennan stood in the hallway, still in his custodial coveralls, holding a manila envelope thick with age. She opened the door. How did you know where I live? Hal's gray eyes met hers. I was Green Beret, miss. Finding things is what we did. It's late, Mr. Brennan. I know. He held out the envelope. But this can't wait. Not anymore. Elena studied him. The trembling was gone from his hands. His posture had changed, straightened somehow. Like witnessing her fight had reminded him of something he'd forgotten. What is this? Your grandfather gave it to me 3 years ago, right before he died. Hal's voice cracked slightly. He made me promise. Said to give it to you when you were ready. A pause. After tonight, I think you're ready. Elena took the envelope, heavy, worn at the edges. You knew my grandfather. We served together, not Gulf War, after, Army intelligence, black operations that don't exist in any official record. Hal's eyes went distant. He saved my life more times than I can count, and I couldn't save him when it mattered. Elena's grip tightened. What do you mean, it's all in there? Hal stepped back. Everything your grandfather discovered before he died. Everything he couldn't finish. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. Everything that's about to come after you. What's coming after me? Hal looked at her for a long moment. The same thing that killed your grandfather, Miss Thornton. He didn't die of cancer, no matter what the doctor said. His jaw tightened. James Thornton was murdered, and the people who did it just watched you take down Colonel Dalton's son on live video. Elena's blood went cold. They know who you are now. Hal was already backing toward the stairs. They know whose blood runs in your veins, and they're coming. Wait, Mr. Brennan. But the old man was gone, vanished into the shadows like a ghost who'd delivered his message and had nothing left to say. Elena stood in her doorway holding an envelope that suddenly felt like a bomb. She looked at the photograph of her grandfather. The phantom stared back with eyes that seemed to say it's time. She opened the envelope. The documents spilled across her kitchen table like secrets too heavy to hold any longer. Photographs, military records, intercepted communications, hand-drawn maps with coordinates circled in red ink that had faded to rust. Her grandfather's handwriting covered dozens of pages, meticulous notes, names she recognized, names that made her stomach turn. Elena's hands trembled as she picked up the first photograph. A group of officers in dress uniforms standing outside the Pentagon. Her grandfather had circled 3 faces, written beneath each one word compromised. One of them was Colonel Benjamin Dalton. My God, the words escaped before she could stop them. Grandpa, what did you find? She read through the night. Coffee grew cold. The bourbon remained untouched. Page after page revealed a conspiracy that stretched back decades. Her grandfather had discovered a network. 12 military officers selling classified information to foreign intelligence. Training protocols. Operator identities. Deployment schedules. The kind of information that got American soldiers killed. 7 had already died because of leaks. 7 families who'd been told their sons and daughters died in combat, who'd been given folded flags and empty condolences, who never knew the truth, that their children had been sold. James Thornton had documented everything. Names, dates, bank transfers to offshore accounts, coded communications intercepted through contacts he'd maintained since his retirement. And at the center of it all sat Colonel Benjamin Dalton, Pentagon logistics officer. Father to the bully Elena had just humiliated on viral video. Marcus wasn't just an abusive instructor, he was a conduit. His training videos contained hidden messages. His social media following provided cover for encrypted communications. Elena found a letter near the bottom of the stack. Her grandfather's final words, written in the shaking hand of a man who knew he was dying. Mija, if you're reading this, I'm gone and you're ready. I spent the last years of my life trying to expose these men through proper channels. Every report buried, every whistleblower silenced. They killed Rodriguez in 2019, made it look like a car accident. Martinez in 2020, heart attack. They'll say I died of cancer. Maybe they're right. Maybe the stress of knowing and not being able to stop them ate me alive from the inside. I couldn't finish this, but you can. You're stronger than all of us. Hal Brennan will help. He's carried guilt since '98 because he thinks he failed me. He didn't. I made choices. Now I'm asking you to make yours. Don't let my death be meaningless. Expose them, Elena. Burn it all down. And be careful. They're watching. They've always been watching. Te amo, mija. Make me proud. Grandpa. Elena read the letter 3 times. Each time the words cut deeper. Her grandfather hadn't died of cancer. He'd been murdered, slowly, quietly, made to look natural while he tried to expose traitors. Her phone buzzed. She turned it back on without thinking. The number was blocked. She answered anyway. Miss Thornton? A woman's voice. Calm, professional. We need to talk. Who is this? Someone who's been watching the Dalton Network for 2 years. Someone who knew your grandfather. Someone who can help you finish what he started. Elena's grip tightened on the phone. Why should I trust you? Because I'm about to tell you something the official reports don't say. A pause. Your parents didn't die in a car accident either. Elena's blood turned to ice. Her parents, dead since she was 1 year old. Car accident on a rainy night in Virginia. That's what she'd been told. That's what she'd believed for 29 years. What did you say? Oh, 600. The diner on 4th Street. Come alone. We have a lot to discuss, Captain Thornton. The line went dead. Elena stared at the phone. Her parents, dead since she was 1. Car accident, random tragedy. Except nothing in her grandfather's files suggested anything was random. She looked at her grandfather's photograph. What else didn't you tell me? The diner was nearly empty at 0600. 3 truckers at the counter. A waitress who looked like she'd been working since the Cold War ended. Elena took a booth in the back corner where she could see both entrances. She didn't have to wait long. The woman who slid into the seat across from her was 48, Caucasian, dressed in a gray suit that screamed federal agent, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Captain Thornton, thank you for coming. You said you knew my grandfather. I recruited him. The woman slid credentials across the table. Agent Rebecca Stone, CIA, Counterintelligence Division. 2 years ago, he came to us with evidence of the Dalton network. We'd been investigating separately. He provided the missing pieces. Elena examined the ID, looked authentic. And then he died. And then they killed him. Rebecca didn't sugarcoat it. Made it look like natural causes. We couldn't prove anything. They're good at this, Captain. They've had decades to practice. Elena pushed the folder she'd brought across the table. Her grandfather's files. Everything he'd collected. Rebecca opened it. Flipped through pages. Her expression remained neutral, but Elena caught the slight widening of her eyes. He had more than we knew. Much more. What about my parents? The question hung between them. Heavy, unavoidable. Rebecca closed the folder. Took a breath. Your father was Army intelligence. Captain David Thornton. He discovered the network's earliest incarnation in 1996. Started building a case. She paused. They killed him before he could finish. 1998. Car bomb in Virginia. Made it look like an accident. Your mother was in the vehicle. Collateral damage. Elena felt the world tilt sideways. 29 years of believing a lie. My grandfather knew. He raised you because he knew the truth. Kept it from you to protect you. Rebecca's voice softened slightly. He spent 28 years gathering evidence, waiting until you were old enough, strong enough, ready to finish what your father started. Elena's jaw tightened. They've hunted my family for 3 decades, and now they know about you. Rebecca leaned forward. The viral video, your name, your connection to James Thornton. Colonel Dalton has already made calls. The network is mobilizing. Let them come. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. Rebecca pulled out a second folder. We have an operation planned. Unofficial, unsanctioned. If it works, we take down all 12 officers and expose the entire network. If it fails, you don't exist. Neither do I. Elena opened the folder. Photographs, tactical assessments, a timeline. What do you need from me? We need someone inside, someone who can get close to Marcus Dalton, gain his trust, gather evidence we can't access from the outside. Rebecca's eyes locked onto Elena's. We need someone he already has reason to contact. He hates me. I humiliated him on video. Exactly. Rebecca smiled without warmth. Which is why when you approach him this afternoon and offer to make it all go away, he'll listen. His father is pressuring him to contain the damage. You're the damage. If you offer to help contain yourself, he'll be suspicious but curious. You want me to pretend to be turned. I want you to infiltrate a network that's killed American soldiers and murdered your family for 30 years. Rebecca's voice hardened. I want you to get evidence we can use to prosecute them all. Bank transfers, communications, proof of payment from foreign intelligence, and then I want you to burn it to the ground. Elena looked at the tactical plans, the risk assessment, 30% at best. What happens if I'm caught? You disappear, no rescue, no acknowledgement, no body recovered. Rebecca didn't flinch. This is the deal, Captain. Take it or leave it. Elena thought about her grandfather, her father, her mother she couldn't even remember. She thought about Hal Brennan carrying guilt for 28 years. She thought about Private Foster humiliated by a bully who would never face consequences through normal channels. When do we start? Rebecca slid a phone across the table. Check your messages. Elena opened the phone. A single text from an unknown number. Miss Thornton, my father wants to meet. Discuss a resolution. Tomorrow, 1900 hours, his private office. Come alone. M. Dalton. He reached out first. Elena looked up. His father forced him to. They need to control the narrative. You're the wild card. Rebecca stood. Play the role, Captain. Pretend you're scared. Pretend their power impresses you. Pretend you can be bought. And if I can't, then you join the list of Thornton family members who died trying to expose them. Rebecca's voice was cold. Final. Don't join that list. She walked out without looking back. Elena sat alone in the booth, holding a phone that it felt like a loaded weapon. The waitress came over, asked if she wanted coffee, and Elena ordered coffee she wouldn't drink. Then she started memorizing the tactical plans. Hal was waiting outside her apartment when she returned. He looked different in daylight, less frail, more alert. You opened it. Not a question. You knew what was inside. Some of it, not all. Hal fell into step beside her. Your grandfather kept secrets from everyone, even me. Elena unlocked her door, hesitated. They killed my parents. Did you know that too? Hal's face crumbled. For just a moment, the tough old soldier disappeared, replaced by a man drowning in grief. I suspected. James never confirmed it, but I suspected. And you didn't tell me. How could I? Hal's voice broke. How do you tell a child that everything she believes is a lie, that her family has been hunted for generations? That the grandfather who raised her kept her in the dark because the truth would get her killed? Elena felt anger rising, pushed it down. Hal wasn't the enemy. Come inside, tell me everything. They talked for hours. Hal filled in gaps the files couldn't explain. The history of the Dalton network, its origins in the Cold War, the way it had evolved. 12 officers. That's what James believed. Maybe more. Hal's voice was tired. They recruit through blackmail, photographs, affairs, financial desperation. Once you're in, you never get out. Marcus's father. How did they get him? Germany, 1996. Dalton was a major then. Had an affair with a local national. The network got photographs. Threatened to expose him unless he played along. Hal shook his head. He's been their Pentagon protector ever since. Burying investigations, promoting their people, eliminating threats. Like my grandfather. Like your grandfather. Hal's eyes glistened. James fought them for 28 years. They wore him down. By the end, he knew he couldn't win through official channels, so he documented everything and waited for you. Elena looked at the files spread across her table. 3 generations of evidence. I'm meeting with Colonel Dalton tonight, going undercover. Hal's face went white. That's suicide. It's the only way. Elena. Hal used her first name for the first time. These people killed your parents. They killed James. They'll kill you too. Then I die trying. Elena's voice was steel. But I won't die ignorant. I won't die in the dark like my father. I won't die slowly like my grandfather. She looked at Hal. I'll die fighting, and I'll take as many of them with me as I can. Hal stared at her for a long moment. Then something shifted in his expression. A decision made. Then I'm coming with you. You're 74 years old. And I've been waiting 74 years to die for something that matters. Hal's jaw set. Your grandfather ordered me to survive in '98. Told me to live, to wait, to be ready when you needed me. His voice hardened. I've been surviving ever since. Hiding, cleaning toilets, while the men who killed my friends walk free. No more hiding. Whatever happens next, I'm with you. Elena saw something in his eyes. The same fire she felt in her own chest. Okay, she extended her hand. Partners. Hal took it. His grip was stronger than she expected. Partners. Colonel Benjamin Dalton's office was on the 3rd floor. Wood paneling, American flag, photographs with politicians and generals. The accumulated weight of 30 years climbing the ranks. Marcus sat in a corner, arm in a sling from their fight. His eyes burned with hatred when Elena entered. Miss Thornton, thank you for coming. Colonel Dalton remained seated, silver hair, distinguished features, the kind of face that inspired trust in people who didn't know better. Did I have a choice? We always have choices. Dalton gestured to a chair. Please sit. We have much to discuss. Elena sat, kept her hands visible, played nervous. I assume you've seen the video. 50 million views and climbing. Dalton's voice was pleasant. Quite the situation you've created. I was defending a veteran. Your son assaulted an elderly man. Marcus shifted. His father silenced him with a look. My son made mistakes. He'll face appropriate consequences. Dalton steepled his fingers. But you, Miss Thornton, you're the interesting variable. I'm just doing my job. Your grandfather was James Thornton, Command Sergeant Major, the Phantom of Operation Iraqi Freedom. 3 silver stars, 2 purple hearts. Legend of military intelligence. Dalton's eyes sharpen. His granddaughter just happens to be evaluating training protocols at my base. Interesting coincidence. Elena's heart rate increased. She controlled it. My grandfather died 3 years ago. I needed work. Fort Bragg was hiring. And the way you dismantled my son, 60 seconds against a third-degree black belt, that's just natural talent. Elena let fear show on her face, real fear channeled for performance. What do you want, Colonel? Dalton smiled, the smile of a predator who'd spotted weakness. I want to make this go away, Miss Thornton. The video, the complaints, all of it. He leaned forward, and I want you to help me do it. Why would I help you? Because your career depends on it. Because your contractor license can be revoked with one phone call. Because I have friends in places that can make your life very difficult. His smile never wavered. Or because I can make it very easy. Your choice. Elena pretended to consider. Let the silence stretch. What would I have to do? Recant your statement. Say the video was taken out of context. Apologize to Marcus publicly. Dalton gestured casually. In return, I ensure your contract is renewed. Perhaps even expanded. We could use someone with your skills in our training program. The trap was obvious. Work for them or be destroyed. Elena let her shoulders slump, defeat in her body language. I need time to think. Of course, Dalton stood, extended his hand. Take until tomorrow morning. But Miss Thornton, choose wisely. I'm offering you an opportunity. The alternative is considerably less pleasant. Elena shook his hand, felt the cold calculation behind his pleasant expression. I understand, sir. She walked out, made it to her car before her hands started shaking. Not from fear, from rage. They'd killed her family, murdered soldiers, sold out their country, and they sat in wood-paneled offices, shaking hands like businessmen. Her phone buzzed. Rebecca Stone. Well, I'm in. Elena started the car. He wants me to recant. Work for them. I played scared. Good. What's your read? He's arrogant, thinks he's untouchable. Marcus is the weak link, emotional. Impulsive. If I can get close to him, he'll make mistakes. Then get close. Fast. Rebecca's voice tightened. Our intelligence suggests they're moving something big in 72 hours. We don't know what, but it's big enough that they're bringing in foreign clients. I'll find out. Elena. Rebecca's tone shifted. These people killed your family. They've survived 3 decades by being careful. Don't underestimate them because you want revenge. I won't. The line went dead. Elena drove in silence. 72 hours, 3 days to infiltrate a network that had killed her family for 30 years. Elena called Colonel Dalton at 0700 the next morning. Her voice carried the perfect mix of resignation and fear. I'll do it, whatever you need. Dalton's satisfaction oozed through the phone. Wise decision, Miss Thornton. Meet Marcus at the training facility at 1400. He'll explain your new responsibilities. She hung up, looked at Hal across the kitchen table. It's done. I'm in. Hal nodded slowly. What's the play? Get close to Marcus. Make him trust me. Find out what they're moving in 72 hours. Elena checked her weapon. Rebecca's team will be monitoring from a distance. If I find actionable intelligence, we move. And if they figure out you're playing them, Elena met his eyes, then you make sure the files reach every news outlet in the country. You finish this, no matter what. Hal's jaw tightened. Elena promised me something. What? If it comes down to them or you choose you. Don't die for this. Your grandfather wouldn't want that. They didn't have a choice. I do. Elena stood. I'm choosing to fight. Marcus was waiting when Elena arrived. His arm was still in a sling. Hatred radiated from him, but beneath it, she caught something else. Curiosity. The mighty Elena Thornton. His voice dripped with contempt. Come to beg forgiveness. I came because your father made a convincing argument. Elena kept her tone neutral, submissive. I have bills to pay, a career to protect. Fighting you accomplished nothing. Marcus stepped closer. It didn't work, but Elena let her body language suggest otherwise. You humiliated me in front of 60 soldiers. You think I'm just going to forget that? I think you're going to do whatever your father tells you to do. Elena held his eyes just long enough to show defiance, then looked away. Just like me. Something flickered across Marcus's face. For just a second, she glimpsed the boy beneath the bully, the son desperate for approval from a father who saw him as a tool. My father thinks you could be useful. Marcus circled her slowly. I think you're a liability. Then convince him otherwise. Use me for whatever you need. I won't cause problems. Marcus stopped circling. You know what I think? I think you're playing an angle. Nobody caves that fast. Elena let vulnerability show. Real vulnerability channeled for effect. 3 years ago, I lost my grandfather. He was the only family I had left. Since then, I've been surviving. That's all. She dropped her eyes. I don't have the energy to fight people like your father. I just want to be left alone. The lie tasted bitter, but it landed. She saw Marcus's posture shift, the predator recognizing wounded prey. Fine. He pulled out his phone. You're going to record a statement. Apologize for the misunderstanding. Say the video was edited out of context. Now. Elena recorded the statement. Every word felt like swallowing broken glass. But Rebecca had warned her this would happen. Build trust. Sacrifice pride. Get inside. When she finished, Marcus watched the playback with satisfaction. Not bad. Almost believable. He pocketed the phone. My father wants you at dinner tonight. His house, 1900. Don't be late. What kind of dinner? Marcus smiled. The first genuine smile she'd seen from him. The kind where you meet the family business. Welcome to the Team Thornton. He walked away. Elena's hands trembled. Not from fear, from the effort of not breaking his neck right there. She pulled out the phone Rebecca had given her, texted a single word, in. Colonel Dalton's house was old money disguised as military modesty, large enough to impress, restrained enough to avoid questions. Elena arrived at 1855 wearing the wire Rebecca's team had provided. Can you hear me? Rebecca's voice crackled in her earpiece. Loud and clear. We're recording everything. Be careful. The door opened before Elena could knock. A woman in her 50s, elegant, cold-eyed, Patricia Dalton. She looked Elena up and down. You must be the Thornton girl. I'm Patricia Dalton. Come in. Elena followed her through hallways lined with military photographs and political memorabilia. Every surface screamed power. The dining room held 6 people. Colonel Dalton at the head, Marcus to his right, Patricia taking her seat, and 3 others Elena didn't recognize. 2 men in their 60s, 1 woman slightly younger. Miss Thornton, Dalton gestured to an empty chair. Thank you for joining us. Please sit. Elena sat, felt the eyes of strangers measuring her worth. Allow me to introduce my colleagues. Dalton's voice carried casual authority. General Richard Morrison, recently retired from CENTCOM, Colonel Patricia Whitfield, Pentagon Logistics, and Dr. Thomas Wright, Defense Contractor Liaison. 3 more names, 3 more conspirators. Elena memorized their faces. Morrison's left hand trembled slightly. Whitfield's eyes darted to the windows every 30 seconds. Wright's smile never reached his eyes. We've reviewed your file. Morrison's voice carried authority. Impressive combat record. Special operations background. Shame about the incident with Marcus. I'm hoping to move past that, sir. As are we all. Dalton raised his wine glass. To new partnerships. They drank. Elena barely touched hers. The dinner conversation was careful, coded. References to shipments and timeline adjustments and overseas partners. Nothing explicit. They'd had decades to perfect this. Then Dr. Wright turned to Elena directly. Your grandfather was James Thornton, correct, the intelligence legend. Elena's stomach clenched. Yes, sir. We knew him years ago, before his retirement. Wright's smile didn't reach his eyes. Brilliant man. Shame about the cancer. Thank you. He never mentioned us, our work. The question hung in the air, a test. My grandfather didn't discuss his work. He protected me from that world. She kept her voice steady. I only learned about his reputation after he passed. Wright studied her for a long moment. His eyes were dead, empty. Then he nodded. Family loyalty, admirable quality. He looked at Dalton. I approve. She'll be useful. Elena exhaled slowly. Test passed. For now. After dinner, Marcus walked her to her car. The night air was cool. You did well. Marcus's voice held grudging respect. They're not easy to impress. Who are they exactly? People who matter. People who can make problems disappear. Marcus leaned against her car door. And people who can make you disappear if you become a problem. Understand, I understand. Good. He handed her a phone. Burner. All communications go through this. Your old phone stays off when you're working with us. Elena took the phone, another link in the chain. What do you need me to do? Marcus's eyes gleamed in the darkness. Tomorrow night we have a meeting. Important clients, foreign nationals. They want to see American military training techniques up close. He smiled. You're going to give them a demonstration. What kind of demonstration? The kind that pays very well. Marcus pushed off from the car. Pick you up at 1800. Wear something that moves. He walked back to the house. Elena sat in her car, heart pounding, foreign nationals, military training techniques. The pieces clicked together. The Dalton Network wasn't just selling information. They were selling access, teaching American combat techniques to foreign operatives. She pulled out Rebecca's phone, called. Did you get that? Every word, Aaron. Rebecca's voice was tight. This is bigger than we thought. What do you think they're selling? Direct training, close combat protocols, tactics that took decades to develop. Rebecca paused. If they're bringing in clients, it means they have something new, something worth traveling for. I'll find out what. Elena, if those clients are Russian FSB like we suspect, this isn't just treason. This is active warfare. Every technique they learn becomes a weapon against our own people. I know. You need proof, video, documentation, something that ties the Daltons directly to foreign agents. I'll get it. And Elena, if something goes wrong tomorrow night, if you even suspect they've made you, you activate the panic signal. We extract you immediately. What about the evidence? Forget the evidence. We'll find another way. Rebecca's voice hardened. Your grandfather spent 28 years on this. Your father died for it. Don't join them. Come home. We'll regroup. The line went dead. Elena drove home through empty streets. Tomorrow night, she'd be alone with foreign operatives and the network that had killed her family. Hal was waiting in her apartment. How did it go? I'm in deeper than expected. Elena threw the burner phone on the table. They're not just selling secrets. They're training foreign operatives. Tomorrow night, I'm supposed to demonstrate American combat techniques for their clients. Hal's face went pale. That's treason. Active operational treason. I know. If you go through with this demonstration, you're complicit. Even undercover, you'll be teaching enemies how to kill American soldiers. I won't actually teach them anything useful. Elena paced. I'll modify the techniques, introduce flaws, give them just enough to believe they're learning while actually making them less effective. That's a dangerous game. It's the only game I have. She stopped, looked at Hal. Unless you have a better idea. Hal was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. Black, compact, military grade. What is that? Signal jammer. Wide range. When activated, it blocks all communications within 500 meters. Hal set it on the table. I still have contacts. Old Green Berets who owe me favors. If things go wrong tomorrow night, you activate this. It'll give you maybe 3 minutes of chaos before they realize what happened. 3 minutes isn't much. 3 minutes is a lifetime for someone who knows how to use them. Hal's eyes hardened. I taught your grandfather that. Now I'm teaching you. Elena picked up the jammer, felt its weight, solid, real, a lifeline. Where will you be? Close. Watching. Hal's jaw set. If you need extraction, I'll be there. Hal, you're 74 years old. And I've been waiting 74 years to matter again. His voice cracked slightly. Let me do this, Elena. Let me protect James's granddaughter the way I couldn't protect him. Elena saw the desperation in his eyes, the need for redemption. Okay. She took his hand. We do this together. Hal squeezed back. His grip was stronger than his years suggested. Together. The next evening came too fast. Marcus picked Elena up at exactly 1800, driving a black SUV with tinted windows. He didn't speak during the 40-minute drive to an industrial area outside Fayetteville. The building looked abandoned from outside. Inside, it had been converted into a private training facility. High ceilings, professional mats, camera equipment in every corner, and 5 men waiting in civilian clothes who didn't hide their military bearing. Miss Thornton, Colonel Dalton stepped forward. Our clients are eager to meet you. Elena scanned the men. Hard eyes, economical movements, Eastern European training. Russian, most likely. The oldest stepped forward, gray hair, cold blue eyes, a scar running from his temple to his jaw. I am Viktor Volkov. His accent was thick but controlled. We have heard much about American close combat techniques. Show us what makes your soldiers superior. Elena's heart pounded. This was it. She pulled out her phone, the one Rebecca had given her, set it on a bench angled toward the mats, recording everything. What would you like to see? Victor smiled without warmth. Everything. For the next hour, Elena demonstrated techniques, modified versions, subtle flaws introduced at critical points, leverage angles slightly wrong, timing cues imperceptibly off. To untrained eyes, it looked perfect. But to anyone who tried to use these techniques in real combat, they would fail at the worst possible moments. She showed them room-clearing procedures. The angles were off by 3 degrees, enough that in a real firefight you'd expose yourself to crossfire. She demonstrated weapon retention techniques. The grip pressure points were offset. She taught edged weapon defense. The timing cues had imperceptible delays. Victor watched with predatory attention. His men practiced each movement, recording everything on multiple devices. Impressive. Victor nodded slowly. Your military trains well. Thank you. Now, Victor's eyes sharpened. Show us something not in the manuals, something only the elite learn. Lena felt the trap closing. Give them real techniques and betray her country. Refuse and blow her cover. I'm not sure what you mean. Victor stepped onto the mat, close enough that Elena could smell cigarettes. I mean the techniques they don't write down. The ones passed from operator to operator. The killing techniques. His smile widened. Don't pretend you don't know them. We've read your file. You've killed with your hands. Show us how. The room went silent. Elena thought about her grandfather, her father. Every soldier who would die if she gave Victor what he wanted. Those techniques aren't for sale. Victor's smile disappeared. Everything is for sale, Miss Thornton. The question is the price, movement behind her. Marcus stepping forward, hand on his weapon. Elena, his voice carried warning. Don't be stupid. I agreed to demonstrate standard techniques, not assassination protocols. Elena kept her voice steady. That wasn't the deal. Victor glanced at Colonel Dalton. Something passed between them. Perhaps we need to renegotiate. Victor gestured to his men. Convince her. 2 Russians moved toward Elena, professional flanking. Elena's hand found the signal jammer in her pocket. I wouldn't do that. Victor laughed. 1 woman against 7 men. Your confidence is admirable but misplaced. Then test it. The first Russian lunged. Elena dropped, swept his legs. As he fell, she drove her elbow into his throat. Not full force, just enough to crush his larynx. The second Russian came from behind. Elena spun, caught his arm mid-grab, hyperextended the joint until something cracked. He screamed. She released him. Both men down in 4 seconds. Victor's eyes widened, then narrowed with new respect. Impressive. Perhaps we underestimated you. Most people do. Elena straightened. I'll demonstrate techniques that are useful for your purposes, but I won't teach you how to assassinate American soldiers. That's my line. Victor considered, exchanged glances with Dalton. Acceptable. For now. He gestured to his remaining men. Help your colleagues. We continue tomorrow. Elena felt the tension ease slightly. She'd bought time. Not much, but enough. Enough to get out alive. Enough to take the recording to Rebecca. Marcus grabbed her arm as she walked toward the exit. His grip was too tight. What the hell was that? Self-preservation. Elena pulled free. Your clients wanted to test me. Now they know I am not a pushover. You could have gotten us all killed. But I didn't. She held his eyes. You want me on your team? This is who I am. I don't fold under pressure. That should be an asset, not a problem. Marcus's jaw worked. My father won't be happy. Then explain to him that I just proved my value. Those men will respect me now. That makes me more useful, not less. She walked out. The night air felt like ice in her lungs. She made it to her car, hands shaking as she started the engine. Hal was waiting 2 blocks away, engine running. He pulled out as soon as he saw her. I heard everything through the wire. That was too close. But it worked. Elena pulled out her phone, started uploading the recording to Rebecca's secure server. I've got faces, names, evidence of foreign operatives receiving training on American soil. Is it enough? Not yet. They're meeting again tomorrow. Bigger demonstration. More clients. Elena leaned back. I need to be there. Get everything. Elena, they're going to push harder. Victor knows you're holding back. I know. She looked at the old man. But I've got 48 hours before they realize I'm playing them. That's enough time to bring down everything. Hal drove in silence. Your grandfather would be proud. Elena looked at him. So would your brothers. The ones you lost in the Gulf? You didn't run this time. Hal's eyes glistened. He nodded once, kept driving. They didn't know that behind them, a black car had been following since they left the industrial building. They didn't know that Victor had ordered surveillance the moment Elena refused his request. The black sedan followed them all the way to Elena's apartment complex. She didn't notice until Hal killed the engine and the headlights behind them went dark at the same moment. We've got company. Hal's voice was barely a whisper. Elena's hand moved to her weapon. How many? One vehicle. At least 2 occupants. Hal's eyes tracked the rearview mirror. They're not getting out, just watching. Victor's people. Has to be. Elena forced herself to breathe. They're on to us. We need to move. Now. No. Elena's mind raced through options. If we run now, we confirm their suspicions. We go inside, act normal, figure out our next move. And if they come for us tonight, Elena looked at the old Green Beret, then we give them a fight they won't forget. They walked to the apartment without looking back. Every step felt like walking through crosshairs. The door closed behind them. Elena immediately pulled out her phone, called Rebecca. We've been followed. Black sedan, 2 occupants minimum, parked outside my building. We see them? Rebecca's voice came back tight. Our surveillance picked them up 20 minutes ago. FSB, Victor's personal security detail. They know I'm working against them. Unknown. Could be standard protocol after your display tonight. Rebecca paused. Or they could be planning to make you disappear. What do I do? Nothing changes. If you run, it's over. If you stay, you might still have a chance to finish this. Rebecca's voice hardened. Tomorrow's meeting is the key. We need evidence of money changing hands, wire transfers, documentation, something that proves the Daltons are receiving payment for treason. And if Victor decides to interrogate me before then you do whatever it takes to survive. The line went dead. Elena stared at the silent phone. Hal was checking windows, mapping exits. Back entrance through the basement. Fire escape on the east side. Roof access if we can pick the lock. He turned to Elena. I've got enough ammunition for maybe 15 minutes of sustained engagement. Hal, if this goes wrong, it won't. His voice carried conviction he couldn't possibly feel. We didn't come this far to fail. Elena's burner phone buzzed. Marcus's number. She answered. Yes, change of plans. Marcus's voice was cold. Meeting moved up. Victor wants to see you tonight. 1 hour. Same location. Elena's blood turned to ice. Why the change? Don't ask questions. Just be there. The line clicked dead. Hal had heard enough. His face went gray. It's a trap. I know. You can't go. They'll kill you. If I don't go, they'll come here. They'll kill us both. Elena grabbed her jacket, checked her weapon. This way, at least I control the location. You don't control anything. You're walking into an ambush. Then I walk into it with my eyes open. Elena turned to face him. Hal, listen to me. If I don't make it back, you take the files. Everything. You send them to Rebecca, to the press, to every senator on the Armed Services Committee. You burn the Daltons to the ground. Hal's eyes glistened. Elena? Promise me. The words hung between them. 28 years of guilt. 3 generations of sacrifice. Everything coming down to this moment. I promise. Hal's voice broke. But I'm coming with you. No, you're my backup. You're my insurance. Elena gripped his shoulders. If I'm compromised, you're the only one who can finish this. You understand you're the mission now. Hal looked like she'd stabbed him, but he nodded. 1 hour. If I don't hear from you in 1 hour, I send everything. Make it 2. Give me time to work. 1 hour, Elena. That's all I can give you. She didn't argue. The drive to the industrial building took 40 minutes. Elena used every second to prepare mentally. Cataloging weapons, mapping escape routes. The black sedan followed at a distance, not hiding anymore. They wanted her to know she was being watched. The building was darker than before. Fewer cars in the lot. The silence felt wrong, heavy with anticipation. Elena stepped out of her car. The night air carried a chill. The door opened before she reached it. Victor stood in the threshold, backlit by harsh fluorescent light. Miss Thornton, thank you for coming on such short notice. Did I have a choice? We always have choices. Victor smiled. Please come in. We have much to discuss. The training facility had been transformed. The mats were gone. In their place, a single chair sat beneath a hanging light. 2 of Victor's men flanked the entrance. 2 more waited in the shadows. Colonel Dalton stood near the far wall. Sit. Victor gestured to the chair. Elena didn't move. I prefer to stand. That wasn't a request. The two men by the door stepped forward. Elena calculated distances, angles. Odds, 4 against 1, 5 if Dalton was armed. No backup, no extraction. What is this about Victor? It's about trust, Miss Thornton. Victor circled her slowly. Or rather, the lack of it. You see, after you left tonight, we did some research, made some calls. He stopped directly in front of her. Your grandfather wasn't just a military legend. He was investigating us for years, built files, gathered evidence, tried to destroy everything we've built. Elena's heart hammered, kept her face neutral. My grandfather is dead. Yes, we made sure of that. Victor's smile widened slowly. The cancer was just a cover. We had people inside the hospital. By the end, he was begging us to finish it. Rage exploded through Elena's chest, white hot, blinding. She wanted to kill him, but she didn't move. Couldn't. 4 armed men, no backup. You're lying. Am I? Victor pulled out his phone, showed her a video, her grandfather strapped to a hospital bed, tubes everywhere. A man in scrubs injecting something into his eye line. James Thornton looked at the camera. His eyes were dim with pain and drugs. Tell Dalton, he gasped. Tell him my family will finish this. Elena will. She'll burn you all. The video ended. Elena couldn't breathe. Her grandfather's final moments used as a threat against her. He died thinking of you. Victor pocketed the phone. Admirable, really. 3 generations of Thornton fighters and none of you know when to quit. I'll kill you. Elena's voice was barely human. Perhaps, but not tonight. Victor nodded to his men. Restrain her. They moved fast. Professional. 2 coming from the front, 1 from behind. Elena fought. Took down the first with a throat strike that crushed his larynx. The second she caught with a knee to the solar plexus. But the third connected a blow to her temple that sent stars exploding across her vision. When the world cleared, she was in the chair, hands bound behind her, ankles secured to the legs, zip ties cutting into her wrists. Victor stood over her. Colonel Dalton had moved closer. I warned you, Thornton. Dalton's voice was flat. I offered you a way out. Partnership. Protection. You should have taken it. You killed my grandfather. We protected our investment. James was too close to the truth. Dalton shrugged. Business? Nothing personal. And my parents, was that business too? Dalton flinched. That was before my time, but yeah. Your father was going to expose the network in '98. We couldn't allow that. Elena pulled against the restraints. The zip ties cut deeper. Blood ran down her wrists. Victor pulled up a second chair, sat facing Elena, close enough that she could smell cigarettes and death. Here's what's going to happen, Miss Thornton. You're going to tell us everything. Your handler's name, the location of your grandfather's files, every piece of evidence you've gathered. He pulled out a knife, elegant, sharp. He pressed the blade against Elena's cheek, drew a thin line of fire. Blood trickled warm and slow. If you cooperate, I'll make it quick. If not, he smiled. We have all night. Elena felt blood trickle down her face. Go to hell. Victor sighed. They always say that at first. The door burst open. Everyone spun. Weapons raised. Hal Brennan stood in the doorway. 74 years old, shaking hands. Ancient M1911 pistol pressed against his shoulder in a 2-handed grip. Let her go. Victor laughed. The janitor. This is your rescue. I'm not a janitor. Hal's voice didn't waver. I'm Sergeant First Class Harold Brennan, 5th Special Forces Group, Silver Star recipient, Gulf War veteran. His eyes locked on Victor. And I've killed more men than everyone in this room combined. You're also outnumbered and outgunned. Victor gestured lazily. Kill him. 2 Russians moved toward Hal. He fired. Both went down before they could raise their weapons. Double tap. Center mass, the old training surging back. The room erupted. Elena threw herself sideways, chair and all, hit the ground as bullets shredded the air where she'd been, rolled, felt the bonds on her wrists straining, the zip ties cutting deeper, but maybe loosening. Hal was moving like a man half his age. Cover, fire, advance. The rhythm he'd learned in Kuwait, that he'd practiced 10,000 times until it became instinct. Another Russian down, headshot, then another. The old man moving through the facility like a ghost, like the warrior he'd always been beneath the coveralls. Victor grabbed Elena from behind, knife to her throat. Stop or she dies. Hal froze, weapon still raised. His eyes met Elena's. 28 years of guilt, 3 generations of sacrifice, everything compressed into a single moment. She saw his decision before he made it. Elena, Hal's voice cracked. Tell your grandfather I finally outran the bullet. Hal, no. He charged. Victor's gun came up, fired twice. Hal stumbled, blood spreading across his chest. But momentum carried him forward. Old training, old instinct. You didn't stop until you completed the mission. Elena threw herself backward. All her weight, all her rage. The chair smashed against Victor's shins. His knife hand flew wide. She rolled, came up with hands still bound but legs free, kicked Victor in the temple. Once, twice, 3 times. Each impact driven by 29 years of rage. Victor collapsed, didn't move. Elena worked the zip ties, a braided skin against plastic, blood making everything slippery. The ties snapped. Her hands came free. Colonel Dalton ran for the exit. Elena didn't chase. Couldn't. She dropped to her knees beside Hal. The old man lay in spreading blood, his breathing wet, ragged, punctured lung, hemothorax, fatal without immediate medical intervention. Hal, Elena's hands pressed against the wounds, trying to stop bleeding that couldn't be stopped. Hal, hold on, help is coming. Did I get them? His voice was weak, fading. You got them. You saved me. Tears streamed down Elena's face. Just hold on. No time, Hal coughed, blood on his lips. The files, Rebecca has everything. Finish it. I will, I promise. Tell your grandfather. His voice weakened to almost nothing. Tell him I didn't run this time. He knows Hal. He's watching. He's proud. Hal smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. Real joy, despite dying. Good. His hand found hers, squeezed weakly. Good. His eyes closed. His chest stopped moving. Harold Brennan died at 03:47 hours, 28 years after leaving his brothers behind in Kuwait. He died holding the hand of the woman he'd sworn to protect. He died free. And somewhere Elena believed her grandfather was waiting to welcome him home. Sirens split the night 3 minutes later. Rebecca's team breached through multiple entry points. Combat medics rushed to Elena. She was still kneeling beside Hal, still holding his hand, refusing to let go. Elena, Rebecca knelt beside her. Elena, he's gone. You have to let him go. He saved me. Elena's voice was hollow. He walked into a room full of armed men because I asked him to. I know. Rebecca gently pried Elena's fingers from Hal's. And he did it because you gave him something he'd been looking for 28 years. A reason to fight, a reason to matter. Rebecca's team secured the scene. Viktor Volkov in custody, 3 Russians dead. Colonel Dalton captured on Highway 95 20 minutes later, trying to cross into South Carolina with false identification and $2 million in cash. Elena sat in the back of an ambulance, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, the cut on her cheek bandaged. She watched them load Hal's body into the medical examiner's van, watched them zip the bag, watched the door close on the man who'd died so she could live. We got them all, Rebecca sat beside her. 12 officers arrested simultaneously. FBI coordinated raids across 4 states. Every member of the Dalton network in custody. Elena nodded but didn't speak. The evidence you gathered was enough. Victor's recordings, your phone documentation, the wire from dinner. Rebecca paused. Plus Hal's statement. He recorded everything before he came for you. His testimony, his knowledge of the network. He wanted to make sure we had everything we needed even if he didn't make it out. Elena's jaw tightened. He knew it was a suicide mission. He knew it was the mission that mattered. Rebecca's voice softened. Elena, you need to understand something. Hal Brennan spent 28 years carrying guilt because your grandfather's investigation put your father in danger. When David Thornton died in '98, Hal believed it was his fault. He believed he should have seen it coming, should have protected him. It wasn't his fault. I know, you know, but Hal never believed it. Not until tonight. Tonight he protected you. Tonight he finished what your father and grandfather started. Tonight he finally forgave himself. Elena looked at Rebecca. What happens now? Now federal prosecutors are building cases that will take years, but with the evidence we have, every single one of them will spend the rest of their lives in prison. Rebecca stood, and you get to decide what comes next. You've done enough, Elena, more than enough. You can walk away, start over, live. I don't know how to do that. Then you'll learn. Rebecca squeezed her shoulder. Your grandfather would want you to learn. 3 months later, Elena stood in a federal courthouse watching justice unfold. The courtroom was packed. Press, military brass, families of the 7 soldiers whose deaths had been caused by Dalton network leaks. The judge read the verdicts. 12 guilty verdicts across multiple counts: conspiracy, treason, espionage, murder. Colonel Benjamin Dalton received life without possibility of parole. Viktor Volkov faced extradition to face additional charges in Russia. The remaining network members received sentences ranging from 30 years to life. Marcus Dalton had cooperated, testified against his father. The prosecutors recommended 20 years. He'd be 60 when he got out. If he survived that long in a federal prison full of veterans who knew what he'd done. And Elena sat in the back row, not as a witness. Her testimony had been given weeks ago. Today she was here as an observer, as a representative of 3 generations of Thorntons who'd fought this network. When the final verdict was read, she stood and walked out. Didn't wait for the sentencing, didn't need to hear the numbers. The important thing was done. The network was destroyed. The traitors were exposed. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Cameras, questions. Elena walked past them without stopping. She'd already given her statement and already told the story. She had nothing left to say. A woman in her 60s stood at the edge of the crowd. Maria Gonzalez, mother of Staff Sergeant Pedro Gonzalez, one of the 7 soldiers killed because of leaked intelligence. Miss Thornton, Maria's voice was thick with emotion. May I speak with you? Elena stopped. Of course, ma'am. Maria took Elena's hands, squeezed them. My Pedro, they told me he died in an ambush, random Taliban attack. Tears streamed down her weathered face. But it wasn't random. They sold him. These men sold my son. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Maria pulled Elena into an embrace. Thank you for fighting for the truth. Thank you for not letting them hide what they did. Thank you for giving me answers. Elena hugged her back. Your son was a hero, Mrs. Gonzalez. He deserved better than he got. You deserve better than lies. Maria pulled back, looked Elena in the eyes. Your grandfather, your father, the old man who died saving you. They were heroes too. Don't forget that. I won't. Over the next month, Elena visited 6 more families. Each one had lost someone to the Dalton Network's betrayal. Each one had been lied to. Each one deserved the truth. The last visit was to Thomas Williams, 82 years old, father of Captain Sarah Williams, killed 4 years ago when her helicopter flight path was sold to hostile forces. Thomas was bitter, angry. He didn't want to talk to anyone from the military. But Elena kept coming back, kept showing up, until finally he let her in. She told him everything, showed him the evidence, explained how his daughter had been targeted because she'd been investigating irregularities in deployment schedules, how she'd gotten too close to discovering the network, how they'd killed her to protect themselves. My Sarah, Thomas's voice broke. She died trying to expose them. She died trying to protect her fellow soldiers. Elena handed him a photograph, Sarah in flight gear, smiling, young, alive. She was a hero, Mr. Williams, not a victim, a hero. Thomas stared at the photograph. Tears ran down his face. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for fighting for her. She deserves someone to fight for her. 2 years after Hal Brennan's death, Fort Bragg held a dedication ceremony. The main training facility had been renamed, the Brennan Center for Military Training Integrity. A bronze statue stood at the entrance, Hal in his custodial coveralls, one hand holding a mop, the other raised in salute. Beneath it, a plaque read, Sergeant First Class Harold Brennan, 5th Special Forces Group, 1952-2026, Silver Star Purple Heart. True strength protects the powerless. Elena stood before the statue, hundreds of soldiers behind her, generals, politicians, press. But she only saw Hal, the warrior who'd been invisible so long he'd forgotten he mattered, the man who'd found redemption in sacrifice. 2 years ago, a janitor was humiliated in this building. Elena's voice carried across the crowd. An elderly man was shoved to the ground, mocked, recorded for entertainment. What the people in that room didn't know was that the man they were laughing at had killed more enemies than most of them would ever face. She paused, let the words settle. Harold Brennan spent 12 years cleaning these floors, not because he couldn't do anything else, but because after everything he'd done, after everything he'd sacrificed, the world had forgotten him. The same military he'd bled for had made him invisible. Elena looked at the statue. But Hal never stopped serving, even when no one saw him, even when no one thanked him. He stood watch, he protected, he waited. And when his country needed him one last time, he answered. She turned to face the crowd. The Brennan Center exists because Harold Brennan existed, because my grandfather existed, because every soldier who's ever been abused, overlooked, or silenced deserves someone willing to stand up for them. Her voice strengthened. This program will ensure no soldier is invisible, that no abuse is buried, that no warrior is forgotten. Training evaluators embedded at every major installation. Anonymous reporting, independent oversight, zero tolerance. Specialist Megan Foster stepped forward, promoted after her testimony. Now the first Brennan Center evaluator. Ma'am, permission to speak. Granted. 2 years ago, I was humiliated in this building, told I was weak, told I didn't belong. I believed it. Foster's voice was strong now, confident. But then I watched you stand up for an old man everyone else ignored. I watched Harold Brennan die protecting you. I learned that real warriors don't just fight enemies. They fight for people who can't fight for themselves. She saluted the statue. Sergeant Brennan, I won't let you be forgotten. None of us will. The crowd erupted in applause, not polite ceremony applause. Something deeper, raw. Hundreds of soldiers who understood what this place meant, what Hal's sacrifice meant. Elena walked to the statue, placed her hand on the bronze. Thank you, Hal, for everything. That evening, Elena drove to Arlington National Cemetery. Section 60, 2 graves side by side. The first headstone read, Command Sergeant Major James Thornton, 1945-2023, Silver Star with 3 oak leaf clusters. Warriors don't fight for glory, they fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. The second read Sergeant First Class Harold Brennan, 1952-2026, Silver Star, purple. Heart, the warrior who never stopped serving. Elena knelt between the graves, placed flowers on both. White lilies for her grandfather. Red roses for Hal. We did it. Her voice was barely a whisper. Everything you fought for, everything you sacrificed. It mattered. It all mattered. She pulled out a photograph. Her parents, young, smiling, holding a baby girl with dark hair and fierce eyes. The photograph her grandfather had kept hidden for 29 years. Mom, Dad. Elena placed the photograph between the graves. I never knew you, never got the chance, but I finished what you started. The people who killed you are in prison. The network you died exposing is destroyed. Wind stirred the flowers. Sunlight broke through clouds and fell across the headstones. Grandpa, you raised me to be strong, to fight, to never quit. I hope I made you proud. She turned to Hal's grave. And Hal, you didn't run, you didn't hide. When it mattered most, you stood up. You saved me. You saved everything. Elena stood, saluted both graves, held it for a long moment. Rest easy, warriors. Your war is over. Mine continues. She walked away from Arlington Cemetery, the weight of 3 generations of sacrifice on her shoulders, but lighter somehow, because she wasn't carrying it alone anymore. Every soldier in the Brennan Center carried it with her. Every evaluator who stood up for the vulnerable. Every commander who listened. Every system that changed because people decided invisible warriors deserved to be seen. Elena's phone rang. Rebecca Stone. Elena, we have a situation. New evidence of a weapons smuggling ring. Pentagon involvement. It's big. We could use your help. Elena looked back at the graves one last time, then at the road ahead. I'm in. Send me the details. Elena, you know you don't have to do this anymore. You've done enough. You've sacrificed enough. So did they. Elena thought about her grandfather, her father, her mother, Hal. And as long as there are people who need someone to fight for them, I'm not done. She ended the call, started her car, drove toward whatever came next. Because real warriors never die. They live on, and everyone they inspire to stand up, to speak out, to fight for what matters. Elena Thornton was her grandfather's granddaughter, her father's daughter, Hal Brennan's legacy, and she would fight until her last breath. That was her truth. That was her promise. That was the only ending this story could ever have.